لكن تحديت الظروف وخضتها وحدي صبورا مستعينا بالصلاة. كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أسى محنتها، وكم كرهت مصابها.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Hayakumullah to everyone watching. Now, following on from our video, the jaw-dropping video that we released last week, the Takfeeri tendencies of the early Early Najdiyaah, which proved and left no doubt that Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab and his bandits are the forefathers of ISIS. 2.5 hours plus, from their own sources, primary sources. No one can say we're using an Orientalist or Oriental source. Third-party sources directly, primary eyewitness accounts of their butchering, looting, and everything else. So I don't want to focus on that. But to all those neo-Salafis, the ones that have a contradictive manhaj, the bootlickers, and even the mental deranged freak, we know who that is. Oh, we got a special guest as well. You'll hear him in the background. Now, what's clear is that for at least 2 decades, we have been hearing these neo-Salafis who are following a Diet Pepsi version. This is Pepsi Max, but it's a Diet Pepsi version that Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, or from the original movement that was basically making takfeer on everything that moved. And no one can say, where's your proof? Because I've just provided 2.5 hours worth of proof. But this is really addressing the ones that claim Salafiyah or claim to follow the da'wah of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab. Really and truly, you're quite silent, aren't you? You want to be on the forefront and accuse everything that moves of being from al-bid'ah, meaning from the tabdi'is, from...
I could fill many volumes of how the early scholars, the Sahaba and those who came after them, how they would treat the people of bid'ah, how they would banish them, boycott them, speak ill of them, humiliate them, even to the point of sending them to execution.
Abdurrahman Hassan, making blanket takfeer on the Brelvis, by declaring millions and millions of Muslims as being kuffar.
The Brelwi and the Deobandis are Ahlul Bidah. Okay, the Brelwis are kuffar, they're not Muslims. And the Deobandis, on the other hand, are mubtadi' adallul mudil, misguided people.
Now, Ibn Taymiyyah, rahmatullah alayhi, didn't even declare Shia to be kuffar as a general statement. As a general ruling. He didn't even declare Shia to be kuffar. If you were around, Abdurrahman Hassan, to you, if you were around in the time of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, you will be the one that's giving the fatwa to shed blood. Clear? Because when you make takfeer, or you could say it's a general ruling, but Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab and the early Najdiyaah followed that ruling on. When you make takfeer or declare people as apostates, then naturally the next outcome is bloodshed and taking their wealth. So where's your voice now, mate? You're quite, your podcast that you sat and did an 11-hour podcast or 14-hour podcast, which we debunked in the first 5 minutes. Where's your voice now? Because your spiritual godfather has, or his actions and his violations have now been open to the world. So we want you to come out. But you know what it is? I know, when you follow up on this rhetoric and this manhaj that you follow, this contradictive manhaj, I know why you follow it. I know the reason. There's a real. I've figured it out, people. I figured it out. Do you know what the real reason is? The reality is they follow something. And do you know what? Do you know Abdurrahman admits it himself, by the way. Abdurrahman admits it. He's giving it out. The secret's out. Do you know what the reason is why they have a contradictive manhaj and why they don't come out and expose? They want to expose the Takfiris, but Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab is a forefather of the Takfiris. Do you know why they don't want to expose him? Have a listen.
It's desires.
It's desires. Okay? You know what? Let's listen to it again.
It's desires.
Okay, how? It's true. It's desires. Okay, let's listen to it again.
It's desires.
Just to add as well, you do look slightly different from, I think that video was a few years ago. But you look slightly, I think you grew your hair. No, you wear that, the shamah. I think it's that, or something else as well. Yeah, and a message as well, to all of them really, to all of them. I noticed since we started this, opening up this dossier about the crimes, the violations and the atrocities of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, the early Najdiyaah, all of them are coming out saying there's an agenda. Not just one of them. I'm not talking about the ones that are open and that are their public figures on social media. It's an agenda. An agenda Rather, it's your agenda that kept this hidden and silent for 2 decades and has painted or rather there was a glossy picture that you painted. That's the agenda. We're just releasing information. So what we'll do is, before addressing the mental deranged freak, we're going to show the videos of all of them, their social media heads, and it's an agenda. It's an agenda. Have a listen.
This is like an agenda right now. There's this consistency, the consistent message you're hearing from multiple people who also happen to collaborate. All of them are targeting the da'wah of Tawheed. Tawheed is the target now.
Why out of all people are you guys discussing a Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab? What is the agenda? Guys, there is an agenda behind it.
Actually attacking the da'wah of Tawheed. Nowadays we have this big trend of people attacking the da'wah of Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab.
Oh, it's an agenda. Okay, you notice, you see the pattern. It's an agenda, it's an agenda. So let me ask you then, to all of you. Imam Shawkani, the one, when he obviously got the 2-volume book, or the 2 books that he said, look, there's nothing wrong with it. But then later on, when the great-grandson, or the grandson, Saud ibn Abdul Aziz bin Muhammad bin Saud, was slaughtering the people of Mecca, Medina, Egypt, Bahrain, you name it. Where did they go after they consolidated and nudged? Imam Shawkani wrote a letter sort of refuting this sort of principle of blanket and chain takfeer. So was he part of the agenda as well? Let's carry on. Imam Shawkani, who is, look, you can't compare Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, even though, like we said before, his books have some benefit in there. But ultimately, let's talk about the scholars. Leave bro Hajji to one side, leave me to one side. Imam San'ani, when he initially wrote that diwan praising Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, he wrote another qasida and said, Raja'tu, I retract from this praise of this Najdi. As you watched in Takfeeri Tendencies Part 3. So he must have been on the agenda as well. He's part of the blacklist as well. Number 3, you had, what's his name? Ibn Aflaqi from Al-Ahsa'i, the one from Al-Ahsa who they butchered continuously. And he had to flee from Al-Ahsa because the Najdis went after him. He was on the agenda as well then, wasn't he? He was also on the agenda. So these 3 grand ulama were on the agenda. Let's carry on. Ibn Abidin from Syria, when he wrote against Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab. Because remember, the information didn't spread the way it does now in social media. You could see it visually. You see what's happening around the world. It's a global village. We see it pretty much with a click of a finger. Back then, they had to rely on travelers, merchants, to come and bring you information. So when Ibn Abidin, Imam Shawkani, Imam San'ani, when they got this information, they heard that they were spilling blood for 70 years. What did they say? You can't blame them for saying, you know what, these groups, they're from the Khawarij. Because all the attributes and the traits of this particular sort of attribute was known to Al-Khawarij. But yes, we agree that the usul of the Khawarij is murtabat ma'a mafhum al-iman and the principles of iman. But on the apparent, on the surface, you can't blame them for calling them Khawarij. For 70 years, think about it. If it was a year or 2, even then you could argue, you know what, they made a mistake. They misapplied a takfeer. Probably the information that they received from those towns and villages wasn't true. And they made a mistake. It's not a mistake when you're doing it for 70 plus years. I'm sorry. It's not a mistake. It's clear that it was a politically motivated takfeer. They wanted to loot because ghanima can only be taken from kuffar. And obviously, like they like to call them, murtaddun. You see? So they went there, pillaged Al-Ahsa, pillaged Al-Huraymila, pillaged everywhere. Where didn't they pillage? When Syria, when Iraq, when Egypt, when Oman, they went everywhere. Now, to the mental deranged freak, who was pretty vocal, and the whole purpose of him, let's get this out there as well, he come out publicly to attack me because of my stances against the Da'wah to Najdiyaah. That's when he started attacking me. His first Facebook post, his Twitter post, was to do with that. So now if you're that passionate, mental deranged freak, if you're that passionate, okay, you've seen the 2.5-hour video, you've watched every second of it, mate. I guarantee you, you've watched every second of it. Now is your time to come out and either condemn it, which you should, but I'm not surprised because you're a closet takfeeri. It's your time now to come out and say, I condemn the atrocities and the violations and the mass butchering committed by Muhammad bin... I don't want to hear general, I want to hear specifics now. Because you mentioned Najdi this, Najdi that. You made it specific, didn't you? And you put the book on the floor with a sword and a pen. Okay? So no problem. No problem. So you were at the end of the day, if you didn't open that book, which we presented many quarters about Durar al-Sunniyah, showing you the blanket and chain takfeer, if you're so ignorant that you didn't even know what's inside the book, why are you placing it on the floor and taking photos of it and saying Najdi is Najdi, the woke anti-Najdi folks? Woke, okay? Mate, it's your egg that's going to be cracked, mate. It's your egg that we're going to crack. And you're going to come out. I'm not going to stop. You know, you were aggressive, weren't you? You were aggressive. Oh, anti-Najdi, anti-this, anti-that. So it just shows you're a closet takfeeri and you sympathize with these massacres. You won't come out publicly and condemn it, because I know you're that much of an indoctrinated sheep that they programmed you and they've kept the antidote, mate. They know the, like they say in like, you know, IT, you know, binary. You're just black and white. So it's your time, mate. Enough's enough now. You were going out calling me, what did he say? I swear by, no, the donkey of Birmingham, by Allah, is an insult to all four-legged animals. Okay? Is that by Allah? So you swore by Allah. Okay? You haven't retracted. So that shows you're an arrogant, stubborn man. You need to take your meds, mate. With all due respect. You need to take your meds. That's the truth. Because if you're that arrogant, I've made mistakes and I've come out openly. And you corrected me when it came to certain riwayat that I used from Imam, I think it's Samhudi, from in the book Wafa al-Wafa. And I agree that the Imam Samhudi, I relied on his authenticity. I came out and I retracted. Where are you? Where are you? So go back to the ducks, yeah? And, you know, I think you need to get your meds on. With all due respect. You can't come out, if you could swear by Allah and accuse another Muslim of being a donkey, then no problem. You're gonna answer to Allah with that. I'll take your good deeds. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, you probably went on your meds, so you know, you might have been excused for that. Okay, so in conclusion, okay, because I don't want to make this long, and ultimately, you know, I've already done a 2.5 hour video with tons of evidences, and at the end of the day, if you're that blind to the evidences and your hearts are locked, then only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can cure you. I've presented the evidences. I've shown you Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab and the early Najdiyaah are the forefathers of ISIS. The striking similarities, as I kept saying in the last video. So, in conclusion, I already said it. You and your likes are the biggest fanatics, sectarian monsters on this planet. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's no sectarianism and fanaticism in other, you know, groups or sects per se. There is. But you're the one that's accusing everyone else of being blind followers and misguided. You guys are the biggest blind followers. You know me. I've experienced your toxic methodology. I've listened to your talks. After listening to your rhetoric, after listening to your talks, after listening to or reading your PDFs, everything that's associated with it, it shows that you are there. Your asal, your foundation is tafarruq. Your asal is tafarruq, to divide. Unless you're part of your safe sect, then you guys give the rights to the believers as they should. As I said, we can disagree on major things as well. But this boycott cancel culture, you see, that you guys have introduced. And when I came out and did 3 videos, I've done 3 parts on the Early Najdiyaah and Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, I have also said that his books do have benefit. I'm not saying that his books don't have benefit. But yet you still attacked me. You still called me the enemy of Tawheed. While I was being neutral and being impartial. But yet I was, you know, I'm the donkey of Birmingham and, you know, swearing by Allah that I'm an insult to donkeys, etc. So no problem. So to Abdurrahman Hassan, to all of you, now's the time. I don't want to hear general, you know, we in Islam it is not allowed to kill innocent civilians. We know that. We know that. You're stating the obvious. What we want you to do is say, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab and the early Najdiyaah made huge mistakes, blunders, because the blood of the Muslim ain't cheap. So Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab spilt blood in his lifetime. So you can't argue, oh, you know what, his followers went a bit, you know, extreme. No, because they followed on from the life of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, 40 years. From 1157, from the first meeting, all the way to 1207 or 1206 when he died. He was carrying out, pillaging the Arabian tribes in Al-Najd and Al-Arid. Then when they consolidated that by bloodshed, then they expanded to Hijaz, then they expanded and took territory. Then the Ottomans obviously sent Muhammad Ali Pasha and Tuscan Pasha, and obviously they committed massacres as well. But then what I say is we condemn all massacres. But I find it hypocritical for you to use that and say Ibrahim Pasha and Tuscan Pasha or Muhammad Ali Pasha, the viceroy of the Ottomans in Egypt, when he sent the squad to take back the territories that they violently took, they committed massacres. We're not denying that. I say this here and now. They did. But it's a political power. If you're going to use that as a premise and an argument, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab and the Early Najdiyaah did far worse. So what you have to say is that this condemnation of attacking and slaughtering mass people is not restricted to one group or the other. It's condemned regardless. So now it's your time. Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab did it. It's proven. I've done 2.5 hours. Sorry, I smashed that. 2.5 hours worth of video, worth of evidence, providing evidence is right. It's a 2.5 hour video. It's your time to come out now. And that's what this video is. It's a final message from me. Until the next video, so like, share and subscribe. We bring the evidences. Research goes into it. We're not conspiracists. We don't go out there, issuing conspiracies, getting a third party source. We give you it direct. So if you can't swallow this pill, then the best thing to do is just admit, come out and say, yes, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab had takfeeri tendencies. And his early Early Najdiyaah did commit massacres. That's it. So that's my final message. Take care. وصلى على نبينا محمد.
كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محن تمر، وكم كرهت مصابها لكن رأيت الخير يسكب في أنا، كم مرة قد ضقت من عظم البلاء، بشر وشيطان يحاصرني أمام، كم مرة قد أظلم الدرب ضحى وتحدر الدمع وضاقت بي رؤى، كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محن تمر، وكم كرهت